Seeing as it's 4 o'clock, we're going to call the meeting of the Solid Waste Management Authority into order. Please take the roll.
Here.
Commissioner Short,
I'm here.
Commissioner Wright,
Here.
Chair Wilson.
Here. Would you please lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
We're going to move to the 401 item, which is public comment. Any member of the public may address the Solid Waste Management Authority in any matter on or off the agenda. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to make their comment. Is there any public comment at this time? No rush. Seeing none, we shall move to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve consent.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on consent. Is there any public comment as to the consent agenda? Seeing no one, please poll the vote, please.
Commissioner Naffa,
Aye.
Commissioner Wright,
Aye.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Yes.
I can never remember how we vote depending on the meeting I'm in. Sorry. Yeah, so I'm like, was it aye? Whatever. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. It all means the same thing.
Yes, whatever. Doesn't matter. All right. And with us takes us to item number 2, which is the director's report.
Thank you, Chair Wilson. So thanks for approving the consent agenda. Once again, the Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority continues to operate the Klamath, Gasky, and Del Norte County transfer stations and provide required monitoring and accounting along with reports to overseeing agencies. We provide these services without any financial support from the City of Crescent City or the County of Del Norte and without receiving a penny of taxes. And the per ton rates charged at authority managed facilities continue to be lower or equivalent to charges from similar facilities in Humboldt and Curry counties. Looking at things that are not covered elsewhere on the agenda, the plans to establish block walls along the property lines at the Del Norte County Transfer Station. We had a walkthrough with county personnel, and they have affirmed that we do, in fact, need a coastal development permit in order to place those blocks, as some of the blocks will be placed in wetland areas. And so first we have to assemble that application and submit it to the county. We have not yet found time to do that, but we hope to do that in the months ahead. Another big issue that's come up, and it will take months to address this, is we found that the primary software that we use at the scale management system software we have, the company that provides that software, Creative Information Services, has been bought out, and now they are migrating to a different platform they call Fulcrum. And the Fulcrum platform essentially requires that you be online and use the software that way. Staff do not feel that is an adequate level of reliability for our county, because we find there are internet outages that happen all the time, and we don't think that it's acceptable to have all of our facilities shut down every time the internet goes down. So we're looking for different software that doesn't have this issue, and it'll take, we've used this software since we first installed scales at Crescent City Landfill in 1995. So we don't change horses in terms of the software that we use very frequently, but we are looking at a change now. So that'll be a discovery process to figure out what software is out there and what might be able to meet our needs as well as it can. But we don't know what alternatives there are, and so it's an exploration process. I will be leveraging my position on the Rural Counties Environmental Services Joint Powers Authority, as I am chair of their technical advisory group. One of the advantages of volunteering endlessly for these things is you get to assert that the problems you're facing are the same problems other governments are facing. And so we're going to have a survey of all of the different members of the ESJPA to figure out what software they're using and figure out who's happy with the software. That might reduce our process of figuring out which replacement software we might use. So that will occupy us in the months ahead. We are continuing to pursue grants. We have the OWR4 grant that's helping us plan for how we manage organic materials moving forward. Unfortunately for that project, one of our key technical consultants, Mary Pitto, her husband has recently passed and she's continuing to have health issues. So we may have to revisit the budget allocation for that project and look at how we're spending those funds. We have received funding requests from some of our food rescue and redistribution partners. We anticipate we'll be ordering some of that equipment or coming back to the board for further discussion about that in the months ahead. Also in your director's report, you'll see a summary of the HD39 grant that Kira Seymour has managed. And I think you heard a comprehensive report at a previous board meeting about that. But bottom line is we've had several marine flare collection events, and we have distributed free electronic flare devices to participants. So it's been a good series of grant programs, and I appreciate Kira's management of them. Other items that we'll be discussing, we have an item discussing the contamination concerns at the Smith River bins. We have another item with Recology Del Norte's financials. And then we have some legislative items to discuss. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Or I can move on to the financial.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ted, you talked about the block walls.
Yeah.
Is that a replacement of the block walls that are on State Street? Or
No, it's a
Is it-
replacement of the fencing that was there. There was some metal posts and fencing that was there. That's all been cut down and removed. And the county staff made it clear that we probably could get permission without any permitting process to just replace those fences. But we anticipate those if we replace the fences that got cut down, those too would get cut down.
And that kind of leads me to my next question, which was, in the past, we talked about better fencing around our facility to prevent vandalism and such. And that your comments just kind of to spark the coastal development permit process. I didn't think that was necessary when you were just replacing what you already had.
That's an
Or
excellent
repairing,
point. If
but-
we were replacing it, there wouldn't be a permit. But because we're looking at doing something that is a little bit more robust, the county said we would have to go through the
Wow.
coastal development permit process.
That's a pretty arduous process. I was just hoping to, replace the fence that we had with something a little better. Doesn't really, I was hoping that it didn't really spark that development permit process, which could be years in the making. So that was.
I shared
my
that hope,
question.
but I did discuss that very issue with the county staff as they were there. And on the positive side, at one point they were talking about requiring us to do a new wetland delineation, but they said they think they should be able to work with the wetland delineation we did already there, because there hasn't been any active grading work since that time. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get through that. But as you know, through a coastal development process, the Coastal Commission can appeal themselves. So you don't know exactly how that process will end.
Agreed. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, the only comment I have is on the comments that you made was the fact that, yeah, it's the reality of the 20th century that we live in right now, where most of the software providers are moving to a subscription base, annual fee and updates. Standalone programming is almost non-existent these days. Good luck in finding any if you can.
Okay.
The only thing that I can recommend is if your concern is of continuity of connection is look towards Starlink, which is relatively inexpensive when you compare it to what you're already using to provide, and it also is a great option if your internet required drives your financials and your credit cards, et cetera. Because I know a lot of the local businesses that had that issue over the power outage period of time moved over to Starlink, and have been happy with the process that they've gotten, and being able to operate even if the other internet is out.
Thank
To
you.
look towards those kinds of options if necessary.
We will. But thank you for that suggestion. We very much appreciate it.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, then we'll move on to financials.
Moving on to the financials, you can see that Kathy Brewer is doing an excellent job maintaining our accounts. The only accounts that have gone over 90 days have been referred to collections already. Looking at item 2.3, claims approved by director. Once again, you'll see the largest payment goes to Hambro WSG for the excellent services they're providing at the Delaware County Transfer Station. And I'd like to acknowledge Brent Van Wormer, who's here. And the last couple meetings, we've gratefully acknowledged the changes in the transfer station operations, but you're here now, so you should hear. We're very happy with that. Thank you. So that's the largest payment. The second largest payment went to the Delaware County Auditor for we have pay for the transfer station loan in 2 installments. The second one happens in February, so that was our second largest payment. And our third largest payment went to the Rene Public Law Group for our legal service. And thanks, Ruben, for attending. Just to be clear, if you don't want to have your face be the primary thing everybody's looking at, you can go on cancel your video until you're called on. It's up to you.
Okay. Well, thank you.
But we're all enjoying your
I want-
smiling face, just letting you know we're all looking at you.
I think we're
Well, I
looking at it,
appreciate
but I
it.
don't think the
You know,
YouTube
I got
audience
dressed
is.
up, so I figured it. I appreciate that very much.
Okay. Moving on to the other financial reports, item 2.4. You can see once again our income is doing well, and item 2.5 shows that although this is essentially the slowest part of the year, because the winter months we just don't see as much activity at the transfer stations. So, but at this point in time, at the end of January, with 5 months remaining in the fiscal year, we're 27,308 ahead of budget. So that shows our fiscal house is in good order, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Moving on to item 5.1, and I have a few things to say about that. You can bring up the PowerPoint. So at the last authority meeting, Recology's Sandra Wardway gave another report about the ongoing contamination concerns in and around the community recycling bins in Smith River. Previous efforts to reduce contamination in the greater Smith River area have resulted in the consolidation of the 2 community drop-off recycling locations, the one that was in Howanquet RV Resort and the other one behind the Smith River Post Office, were consolidated into a single location behind a locked fence across from the Smith River Community Services District building. So the fenced enclosure is unlocked during daylight hours but locked at night. Recology's presentation last month affirmed that contamination in these bins has continued, and that the materials from these bins are more frequently disposed of as trash than they are processed for recovery as recyclable materials. The board directed staff to place this item on this agenda for potential action. So towards that end, before you've got a comparison table of different options the board may pursue to address these concerns. But to avoid taking too much time at board meetings on this topic, staff recommend that the board appoint an ad hoc committee to meet between board meetings to review and consider the history and potential options to address these concerns. And such an ad hoc committee could, of course, also include representatives of the Taloa Deni, Recology, or other partners who could be affected by these decisions. But that would be up to the ad hoc. So I'd be happy to take this in any direction the board would like, but essentially, these are some of the options. There may be others that are out there, but we do have ongoing contamination problems. It's appropriate that we find a mechanism to address those, and it will take a bit of time. And I think it's safe to say that whatever way we choose to address this issue, there won't be a perfect solution. There's always going to be a downside, and while there may be positive ideas about any of these avenues of pursuit, they won't necessarily solve the problem. So it's kind of a hard decision, but I think it would be best to dive into the details with a subset of commissioners and then return to a future board meeting for potential action.
Any comment or questions from the board?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I asked for this item to be placed on the agenda. I appreciate you putting it on here for discussion. I know it's been discussion in the past a few different times. And I think the relative sentiment is that we are forcing Recology to provide a free garbage service to a portion of the Smith River community. And I know we're not supposed to do that. I don't think it is incumbent on Recology to provide that. I just found out recently that of the last 6 bins that were dumped, 5 of them went straight to the transfer station and were dumped as garbage. And the 6th one was dumped at the recycling center, but then later found it was about 30% contaminated and should have been dumped at the transfer station. So there's things that are being dumped there that the recycling center shouldn't ever see. Biological waste, which is pretty regularly dumped in that bin. So we have a significant problem, at least, we as a board could view that there's a significant problem in providing this, what is amounting to a free garbage service in Smith River. And like say, prior to this last 6 or 8 months worth of dumping, we've talked about this before. It's why it was moved into a gated area across from the Grange. We were hopeful that because it was only going to be accessible during daylight hours, that we were going to see some successes there as far as some, I guess, lawful use of the recycling bin. But it has quickly turned out that it's still being used as a garbage receptacle. I don't think it's fair that we should be providing a free garbage service to anybody, and certainly not to place this burden on Recology to dump this on a regular basis as garbage. So that's why I wanted to bring it to the board for discussion. I think we have kind of made it known to the community of Smith River that there is a problem, that we've done it through moving it into the area we have, and those efforts have not worked. So I'd like to hear from the board, see what your opinion is. If it's my opinion that we should stop that service. It doesn't seem fair in any regard to continue a free garbage service to the community of Smith River. So I wanted to bring it to the board for discussion.
Yeah, I would love to hear from Recology, on this issue, because I know for as long as I've been on the board, and it's not been that long, basically almost 3 years, this has been an ongoing issue. I mean, and we've talked about it numerous times. We've enacted and done things with that bin to try to make it harder, make it less, available during the business hours, moving it from location to location in hopes that it would stop the problem of just waste dumping into this container. But apparently it hasn't. I don't know what the numbers are coming from Recology as to how many, tons or whatever amounts of actual recyclables that they've been actually able to harvest from that container over how many years it's been there. But it doesn't sound, at least in the present time, over the last 3 years, that this is something that has been a benefit to either the recycling efforts that it's targeted to meet, and just the abuses that have come from it. I mean, and at any case, I don't see throwing additional resources and dollars to, making it a secure location. There, one of the considerations was cameras and security cameras. And really, are we gonna, I don't see us wasting money unless it's going to a location that already has those things. And this would be part and party of that security that already existed at the site. But to expend our money to try to recoup or make that this recycling is going to be significant enough that it margins the difference between what we are just wasting and costing the transfer station and the site and solid waste from the dumping fees that they would normally have to benefit from, with this people not having to dump it into our recycling bin in Smith River. So I have to concur, Darren, in this, is that, it's, we've made a lot of effort to try to keep this from having to stop, but it doesn't appear that our efforts and the efforts that we take, unless someone has some recommendation of a site that, it's going to be monitored and secured, and the people that are willing to do it are willing to take that, responsibility. I don't see the benefit of maintaining that dumps location, that recycling location in Smith River at this point in time, because it's just being abused. Any other comments from any of the other board members?
I know at our last meeting, I believe it was the last meeting, was mentioned about possibly having an ad hoc committee look at this and reaching out to the Talawadini Nation and, whomever we could get, like from a committee standpoint, to address this and possibly reaching, or possibly putting in a transfer station at Smith River if there's available land and if it's feasible. So at least I thought that would be a reasonable approach. Otherwise, I agree with both comments that are made that possibly closing that as it is now would be fine with me. But I think we should look at the possible transfer station approach.
I've had a small break in between being on this board, and it was talked about the first time I was on the board. So, which I'm going to say was like 4 years ago. So it's been a problem for a while now. So I agree with moving service there.
You have Chandra talk. Chandra's here from Recology if she wants.
Shauna, you have anything to say?
We want to turn your mic on, Chandra, and make sure you get on
Hello.
the recording. Thank you.
I, like Ted, want to do what's right for the community. I want with all my heart for those people to be able to have recycling. But like you guys said, like we said, it's just not working there. We had it for so long at the other place, and we really had high hopes about this new place. And for a while, in the beginning, when it got moved, they did a pretty good job. But now, I don't know if they just told other people, hey, come on in and dump your trash in there. But you guys mentioned that one of the trucks came down to Allentown, or our place, and I was the one that pulled out so much. And it was after this last meeting. It was after the meeting where we talked about pee pads and all of that sort of stuff. And it was after that, and I filled up probably at least 4 yards of trash. And that was just what I got tired. So I didn't want to finish. And it does. It makes me sad. I wish that our community could have all of these great things. And it's kind of like the city can't say, that kind of goes with it too. But I agree that it should go, but I don't know. That's my decision.
Thank you, Chandra.
If I might address the board. This is a reduction in service. And so since that's already a service that's called for under our agreement. If the board's consensus is that you want to remove this service, then we would want to do a change order on that. And I'd probably recommend we also do a resolution in that. The presumption was that these would be recycling bins and that mostly the materials would be recycled, but that Recology has a responsibility for outreach. So if there's contamination, then they dispose of that. But with these being disposed of as trash for an extended period of time, Recology's expenses associated with these sites and maintaining them has been much larger than originally anticipated. So it's entirely appropriate to say, all right, everybody's paid the amount that was due, and they provided the service diligently for a while, but now we all agree we're gonna take it off. So if the board's consensus direction is that you want to remove that service, then I'll draft up a change order and a resolution for the next meeting for your discussion and possible adoption.
Any comment from the public on this issue? Seeing none? And I would not be opposed to, I don't see keeping it there, maintaining it there at this point in time. I think we would be wise to pull the recycling. However, I would still be amicable to having discussions with Talawahdaney and some of the other providers in that, and see if there is a solution to this problem where it could be monitored, it could be controlled, not at our expense, but at their expense, on some location that would make it less likely that continued abuse and contamination and trash removal basically becomes the issue of the time. So again, I would have no issue with having discussions if someone was willing to accept the responsibility and oversight of such a collection or recycling station in Smith River. But at this point, I just feel that we're far better off removing the said container at this point in time, and then ceasing that operation until such time that it may be more likely feasible.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, as far as the fire station up there, that I didn't know if that they've been approached and if that's a possibility where that could possibly be monitored there.
It used to be very close to just like right around the corner of near the post office, and it was abused in the same way. It was used as a garbage bin. That's why we moved it to the across the street from the Grange there. Is that right? Grange. In a fenced area, and it's still being abused. Yeah. So, I know you weren't on the board that time, so yeah. So just thought I'd pass that on. But so I would be willing to make a motion that we move, or that I would move to adopt a resolution at the next meeting, effective today's date, that we would remove the recycling container from the Smith River area. And then
Effective
at a
today's
different-
date, so they'll remove them and then we're adopting the resolution at the next meeting. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, that's what I'm suggesting. And then I think we could make a separate motion for the ad hoc committee. But as far as removal of that bin, I would say that enough is enough, I guess, and we should act accordingly.
Just point of clarification. I think it's a little awkward to adopt give direction to Recology to remove the bins and then at the next meeting adopt a resolution that goes backwards. And I guess further, I would just say that there are people in Smith River who may be concerned about this in addition to the tribes. And so I think in some ways it would be appropriate to do a little bit of extra outreach before making this decision to make sure that the tribe and others are aware that these bins might be full.
I think we did that, Ted. I think we did that when we moved it from the post office to where it is now. Recology made that outreach to the community. So I think we've gone that step. I think Recology has done their diligence there. And that, I kind of agree with you about a resolution because it kind of is in the contract, but I think at the same time, if we make the motion and kind of, I guess, in a way codify that in the minutes that we believe that this should no longer be in place in Smith River, I think it's effectively the same. So I don't see the need to prolong it to the next meeting if we're making the decision that Recology no longer needs to provide that service. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Can I ask
maybe-
our legal counsel on the dates? Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you suggest
His eyebrows
we go
came
about this?
in.
Ruben?
I would concur with the Mr. Ward's recommendations. I think if there are issues about making a change order to the contract and doing a resolution, the appropriate course from my standpoint, from a legal standpoint, would be to have the board to agendize it for the next meeting for a resolution and change orders that need to be made to effectuate the resolution, to make it effective at that time.
That's the way our legal counsel advises, then
We'll go
I
that
would-
way.
I would make a motion that we present a resolution to the board at our next meeting to remove the service of the recycling container from the Smith River area.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Hearing none, seeing none. Okay, please pull a vote.
Commissioner Neffa,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Yes. You were
Thank you for that robust discussion. I really do appreciate it.
Yes. Also, I'd make a motion that after said resolution, that outreach to the community of Smith River on potential and possible venues, if we can resolve the issues that have been consistently happening in Smith River, that maybe, we can look at returning service at some point in time, if that can be done.
I think we could probably fold that into the resolution. So, good idea.
Would that be an ad hoc that should comprise an element from Recology? We should probably have somebody from Recology,
I
because
would-
Recology, if it turns into a trash bin again, they're going to end up footing the bill.
Well, I
They should
yeah.
be involved in the ad hoc committee is all I'm suggesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, part of this is also evident in the statement that Ted made, and the fact that costs associated with presenting this program have exceeded what they were penciled out for. And so, as we often find that things, the reality of doing business is not as beneficial in the long run, and cannot be sustained if we can't afford to provide the service without running over, exceeding, and it appears that Smith River has, as they say, cooked their own goose. So, thank you.
I have a feeling, and I don't know, I have a feeling we may be visiting this with Ben in Fort Dick as well. And the only reason I bring that up, not because of anything that Recology has brought, is that I am friends on Facebook with Fort Dick Fire, obviously, and ever so often Randy posts something like, if anybody knows whose pickup this is that just dumped a bunch of trash into the recycling container, let me know, kind of thing. So that may be coming. That I know it hasn't come up yet, but I mean, just as a advisory to the board that may be coming as well. So.
Well, and again, this may be something that can be addressed from the vendor
Yeah.
on where and how many times. I mean, how often are we seeing this not replicated? Not just what we're addressing with the Smith River, but in other locations throughout our county where these bins are being provided and yet are being abused. So appreciate an update if we can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I think in Gasky and Klamath, they're they're at the transfer stations, so they're not used. So, yeah, so, yeah, kind of monitor all the time, I guess you could say, Kara. Yes, thank you. The Bears do monitor the area too. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so the ad hoc committee, is that something that's going to be part of the resolution, or do we need a separate motion on an ad hoc committee?
I did not hear the appointment or further discussion of the existence of the ad hoc committee, so I was not thinking that was part of this. I didn't hear any names put forth nor suggestion about that. So I hear that the board's taking action without the ad hoc.
Yeah, I just thought it would be good to set up an ad hoc committee to look at the feasibility of a transfer station and also find out how the community thinks this issue could be addressed in a proper way.
I would second your motion.
Okay.
Just to clarify, you're talking about a bigger picture, like a transfer station at Smith.
Yeah, to be considered. Yeah, so a transfer station to be considered, and then also, because we know that the other two work well, it's just a question of if we'll have the volume up there.
Yeah, I think the other two work at a deficit every
That's correct.
year.
Yeah, when I meant work well,
Work
meaning
well.
as far as the contamination portion of it.
Yeah,
Right,
oh, okay,
yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
not, yeah.
That's true. They do work well there in that respect.
Mhm.
Is there any public comment on the ad hoc? Seeing
I-
none. And so we'll pull the vote.
Commissioner Neffa,
Yes,
Commissioner Short,
Just a quick point. Ted looked very puzzled right now. If I could stop the vote, like there might be a question that's relevant.
I'm wondering is this the appointment of the ad hoc? And if it is it Mr. Naffa? And if it's Mr. Naffa, who else?
yeah, I'm just thinking to have it as a motion so that it would be on the agenda
Oh, I
for the
see.
next meeting.
For the actual appointment. for the
Right,
next meeting.
right.
Okay.
And the consideration of whether or not to have an ad hoc committee.
Recommendations by you as to who would be appropriate on the ad hoc.
By me?
Well, yeah.
I serve the board. I
Yes, I
generally-
But we value your opinion, sir.
Let's have it on the next agenda for discussion. Is that your
Right,
your
right.
intent, sir? Thank
That's
you.
correct. Yeah.
should I continue pulling the vote
Nope.
or are we set with that?
Set with that.
All righty.
We'll put it on the next
Very good.
agenda.
Okay.
That
We'll
Thank
go
you.
with consensus.
moves us down to 5.2.
Yep. 5.2 is the annual financial statements that are required under contract with Recology. Probably the most useful and relevant information is just a consideration. And I want to put this in context because part of the strength that Recology brings to our community is that they're part of a larger company. And so that expertise, that skill set, the ability to tap into other people or equipment has continued to benefit our community. That said, they are a franchise. So that means that when they make a profit, sometimes that money goes to the mothership. Sometimes money from the mothership comes down to benefit the local community. In this case, in fiscal year ending September 2025, $1.3 million was transferred from Recology Del Norte to Recology Incorporated. Just letting you know. But if we did not have this financial statement, that information would not be available to the board. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but it is simply a required.
Any questions?
Yeah, I mean, so is there a franchise fee too? I'm not sure as far
There
as with the
is.
county.
That's part of our regular, as I report on the income, the last bit of that report, you'll see on item 2.5, we have the authority revenue broken into two sections. One is the revenues from the transfer station, known as authority service fees. The other one is franchise fees. And those are funds that are essentially the 10% of the profit less disposal costs.
Yeah, that's fine, thanks.
The only thing I can say is it's nice to see some new equipment rolling around. It's as opposed to hand-me-downs. So it's nice to see some new trucks running around and servicing our community. Thank you for doing that, Ricardo.
No further action is required. It's a receive and file.
That takes us down to 6.1.
6.1, this is the election of the authority officers for 2026. So we have the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and the treasurer controller. Rich Taylor has served as treasurer controller for some years. And that does call for a CPA. So what we're really looking for is chair, vice chair, and secretary from the commissioners.
Mr. Green is not here.
I think we need,
Which
We
does
need
not
to- we
exclude
need
him
to
from
solid-
election.
we also need to solidify treasurer controller, do we not?
Yes.
Well, then I'll make a move that, or I'll make a motion that we retain Rich Taylor as treasurer controller.
I'll second that.
We have a motion.
Like
and a
it or
second.
not, Rich.
Is there any comment from the public? Seeing none, please pull the vote.
Commissioner Neffa,
Yes,
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Now where do you want to go, Chair?
Open for nominations for the chair. Any nominations?
Oh, I'll gladly nominate Isaiah Wright for chair of solid waste management.
Only problem I see is my term is up in November. So you'll have
Oh.
a couple of months without, you'll have to revert back to the vice chair.
That is an issue. You're not running again?
No, sir.
You dog.
I want to move out of Crescent City.
You don't love it.
I want property. So we need to get into Del Norte County.
Yes, that's a thing. Sorry to see you go from the city council. Mr. Wilson, you want to stay where you're at? Because I'd love to see you stay there.
Oh, yes, I bet you would. I have no issue with staying.
Well,
as
I'll
this
nominate Dean Wilson as our chairman.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none. Pull the vote.
Commissioner Neffa,
yes,
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Chair Wilson,
Yes.
as Chair Wilson.
Yes. And I would be happy to nominate Mr. Greeno for vice chair.
I'll second that.
Ooh, very good.
In
Second.
his absence.
Second. Any public comment on motion for vice chair? Seeing none, please pull the vote.
Commissioner Neffa,
yes,
Commissioner Short,
That's what happens, Jason, when you don't show up to meetings. Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Hearty yes. Thank you. That leaves the one position of secretary.
I
We have a
move to
motion?
Mr. Naffa is voted in as secretary.
I would second that, even having not seen his penmanship. But I'm sure it's great. We have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Mr. Nafta, would you accept the nomination?
yes, I would. Yeah,
Oh, very good.
even though I thought Darren was doing a good job the past few months.
It was a fine job. Yes.
I just voted myself out of the job.
Please pull the vote.
Commissioner Neffa,
Yes,
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Yes, and thank you. That'll bring us to the conclusion of 6.1, and please move to 6.2.
Excellent. 6.2 is a consideration of a potential support position for SB 936. SB 936 will ban the sale of flavored nitrous oxide and unflavored nitrous oxide containers in larger than 8 grams, which is your standard whippet canister for whipped cream. As pressurized containers, such whippets are extremely expensive for local solid waste and household hazardous waste facilities to manage. And RCRC is encouraging support for this. Be happy to discuss it. We have received several calls at various times from code enforcement that have found piles of nitrous oxide containers, and they are very expensive to manage as they are pressurized.
Now I had the same look that Darren had, because I had asked several questions before the meeting. Luckily enough, we have someone of age and young that understood what this apparently was addressing, and that is apparently there are flavored whipped cream dispensers, especially the ones that are flavored, not just the regular whipped cream, that are being abused and used by young or youngish, I guess, individuals to get high on the nitrous oxide that is inside the can that is being utilized. Now, I had a lot of experience in dealing with other things like this, but I didn't realize that whipped cream was such a dangerous product that and now that we are moving towards legislation in order to address the throwaway containers and how they're disposed. So, a little background.
I am aware that it's still being used in such ways, but I'm just puzzled as to how. I mean, I understand you buy whipped cream container, you use it, and then it's empty. Where do you find pressurized containers that are making the problem? I mean, I'm not saying this to say that I'm against 936. I'm just kind of puzzled by it. Is all.
I'm also not in the market. What I've been told is that these are available online from restaurant supply stores. There's a variety of different ways that they're sold. And essentially the reason for the bill is that they're a disposal problem. People are using them for illicit functions and they're hiding them. And so when they have a whole bunch of them and they don't want to put them in their trash, they get dumped. And then that doesn't help anybody. And there's no resources available to properly dispose of those. So at some point we need to communicate that these things are a problem at the point of sale. And that's what this bill does.
So is the result of this is that we're not going to see whipped cream in like the bigger cans? We're going to see them in smaller cans?
These are just for the pressurized nitrous oxide containers. This is not regulating whipped cream as a product. It's just the nitrous oxide.
Oh, just the
larger than 8
things that
grams,
use
the
the commercial
pressurized
deal.
nitrous
Oh.
oxide. That's what
I
we're
gotcha.
talking about.
I see. Interesting. My experience with RCRC is that they're usually pretty on point. I would, in my opinion, not 100% of the time, but way up into the 90s, I would say. So, seeing that they are co-sponsoring this bill, I would tend to be in favor of it, even in a position of relatively not understanding the full consequences of this. So being in that position, I don't know that I'd be in the position to make a motion, but sorry, I should have been a little more educated on the problem before we came to the meeting today. I'm sorry to say. I don't know if any of the rest of you are.
Yeah, I was just wanted to mention that in Humboldt County, the cities, when I was down there, had decided to, do ordinances against having, and I think the county also did in Humboldt County, against nitrous oxide misuse, which was stemming, I guess, a lot from bakeries and stuff like that, where people were able to get a hold of some of it. So anyway, it has been addressed, at least on a local level.
And my understanding is the city of Crescent City has also adopted an ordinance restricting the sale of these items. And I think that's part of the reason why we're not seeing this as an urgent issue in Del Norte County, is in part because of the actions of Crescent City.
So I would move that we support the bill.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment on this issue? Seeing none. The only thing I can say is it's obviously not a serious problem in Del Norte County, but obviously otherwise they wouldn't have this legislation. It is something of a concern outside of our community. Say that in all my years in law enforcement, I think I've had like 2 cases where nitrous oxide was an object of theft. So, you know, and it's being stolen for the purpose of getting completely wasted. but it has a danger in the fact that not the small containers, but the large ones that often are used in dentist office, because of the volume of the nitrous. You know, it definitely can be very harmful if one does not stop in the utilization. It can kill you. So, you know, like any other gas, it easily exchanges oxygen for nitrous. So it's very problematic if you have sufficient quantities that it doesn't just get you high, but it does get you, you know, can lead to death if you don't constantly take it. Little Shop of Horrors showed that in a good way with Steve Martin. Anyway, we have a motion and a second. So poll the vote, please.
Commissioner Neffa,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yeah, due to RCRC's position, I'll say yes.
very good. Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Yes. That brings us to the next 6-3, please.
6.3 is an annual item. Form 700s are part of the Fair Political Practices Act. Essentially, we're all required to submit those forms, so the forms are attached. Also, this is the time when we review our ethics policy. So what's the expectation is that page 8, if you could just take a moment to review that and sign that, that would be great. But that is part of our regular policy, and so we do this every year. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Can we do it electronically?
I don't have a mechanism to do that. But if you want to sign it and scan it and send it to us,
No,
that
no.
would be fine.
Actually, when I was in Trinidad, we would have it emailed to us from the political.
Oh, the
fair-
Form 700 is
Yeah.
available electronically.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
And I believe in
And then I just submitted it online. I didn't have to turn in a paper.
right, exactly. And so I believe that information is in the attachments about the Form 700, but yes, there is an online portal for that for sure.
Mhm.
I don't think you can submit it any other way in California nowadays.
But I think you're signing our code of ethics is what you want.
That's correct. That's
yeah.
correct. So the signature on page 8,
Yeah,
hand it
two
to us,
things.
that would be great. And then the Form 700 you can do online. Yes. But essentially just letting you all know, this is the time.
And it just for anybody that isn't aware, those of us that are on the board or city council, the 700 that we fill out for that is applicable towards these committees that we are part of.
So no further action is required on
No,
that.
I understand that. Yeah.
So I signed
Other
the
than signing-
resolution. You still need a signature from me about that? Just kidding. Sorry. Yes.
6-4, please.
6.4. This is another bill being pushed by Rural Counties ESJPA. We do not yet have a bill number for it. They do have bill language. They don't have the final bill number. But
One second.
essentially,
I think you
it's-
left your water bottle.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you, Chandra.
Chandra,
What about?
water bottle.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So the main 4 provisions are described in the staff report, but essentially what we're looking for, because we do not yet have a bill number, is that the board would direct staff to convey that the authority supports legislation to reduce the sales and availability of vaping devices that cannot be legally managed as municipal solid waste due to batteries, liquids, or electronics. And I have a handout before you from the Rural County ZSJ JPA. Essentially, though, this is becoming more of a critical problem for school vice principals than anybody else currently, because they regularly confiscate these devices and there just isn't a good disposal option. And worse, these vaping devices are now made to look like highlighters or pens or other things that, students want to have a vaping device that looks like it is not a vaping device. And those still have embedded batteries, embedded fluids, and they are disposal problems. So we're just a little bit ahead of the legislation, but we do anticipate being introduced within the next 2 weeks. So we can either hold off on this recommendation, or if you could adopt the staff recommendation, then we can support this bill as soon as it's introduced.
As it goes for the schools, I'm sure they would love to see vaping devices look like a boat anchor. So I know that those who use vaping devices legally probably don't agree with that, but it is a very, very big problem in our schools. But as far as the waste stream goes, I totally understand that it's a problem as well. So I would move that we would that the authority would support legislation to reduce the sales and availability of vaping devices that cannot be legally managed as municipal solid waste due to batteries, liquids, or electronics.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, bring it back to the vote, please.
Commissioner Naffa,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
No. Thank you. And that brings us down to 6.5.
So we did purchase the vehicle as authorized at the last meeting, and it's a nice new truck. But we do, and while we are putting the additional items such as the running boards and the lift gate on the new truck, we will retain ownership of both trucks. So when one is in the shop, we have another that's available. We're grateful to Hamburg WSG, who has allowed us to store our extra vehicle in their yard, at least for the next couple months, as we work through this process. And I have consulted with the county auditor and the roads department and others about how to go about this, as well as our legal counsel. Essentially, the next step is for the board to declare that extra vehicle surplus, and then we can go through the proper channels of making sure that vehicle is treated fairly. And it's currently got an estimated value of between $1,200 and $2,000. It's not going to be available to any authority employee, but we are looking to dispose of that surplus vehicle in the coming months.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the resolution of the Commissioners of Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority of the County of Del Norte, State of California, authorizing the authority director to dispose of a surplus vehicle.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any public discussion? Seeing none, please pull the vote.
Commissioner Naffa,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Yes.
It almost sounds like Kira's ready to get rid of that vehicle.
This brings us to the adjournment. We want to adjourn the regular meeting of the Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority scheduled at 4 p.m. Tuesday, March 17th at the Flynn for our next meeting.
Excellent.
Thank you for your attendance. Have a nice day.